In today's show, we're going to talk about the PowerApps formula reference, and we're going to look at 5 of my most favorite functions that aren't used enough, right? So clearly patch is my favorite function, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the more uncommon ones, and we're going to discover them through the PowerApps formula reference. Should be fun. But first, here's our intro. Hi, my name is Shane Young with PowerApps 911. Those guys. And today, we're going to talk about the PowerApps formula reference, right? So where you find all of the different PowerApps formulas, the PowerFX language, if you will. And then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about 5 functions in there that I think aren't used enough, right? And those functions are with, sequence, char, Coalesce, and IsMatch. So sound like a fun little adventure, right? Nothing too technical, nothing too hard, just adding some more tools into your tool belt. Well, let's switch over to my desktop and take a look. Okay, so over here on my desktop, the first thing I want to do is I want to introduce you to the number one piece of documentation, right? This is where I start all my training classes. This is where I think everyone should go, and that is the PowerApps formula reference. So you jump over here to Bing, and you are going to search for PowerApps, I can't spell, PowerApps formula reference. Just like that, it is right here at the top. And if you're wondering, yes, I really do use Bing. I've used Bing for at least 10 years, I feel like. So I'm a Bing user. Maybe that tells you something about me. So anyway, this drops you into the formula reference for PowerApps. What I love about this the most is this is literally the list of every single function inside of PowerApps. So what I always tell my new learners is that if I was trying to learn it, and this is how I learned it umpteen years ago, was I would come here every day and I would read through the list of these functions, right? I wasn't trying to memorize them. Don't be like, hey, there's gonna be a test later and I need to remember that there was an ACOS and an ACOT. No, what I was really after here was I was trying to plant seeds, right? The number one problem a lot of people have is they don't know what they don't know. So all the time when I'm doing code reviews, I see functions or I see weird combinations of stuff and I'm like, there's just a built-in function to do that. And people are like, no. There is. So by coming in here on a regular basis and just reading through the list, right? Just reading, oh look, there's a bunch of arctangent stuff. I don't know what that is. I don't care. Right, there's calendar functions and clock functions and color functions and time functions and date functions. There's all of these crazy things. You know about some of the most common ones, but do you know all the little ones? Like, do you know there's a hashtag function? I mean, I've literally never used it, but extracts the hashtag strings from a string. I don't know why you would want to do that. I thought hashtags were over, but either way, there it sits. And so it's planted in my brain. If I ever need it, it is waiting on me. Okay. All of these if ones. So if errors, then there's the is empty, is error, is match, is numeric, is today, is type, ISO week number. Why that one snuck in there, I don't know. I mean, I know why it's in there, but it's weird. Is UTC today right? There's a lot of weird stuff here. When was the last time you read the list? So that's my first challenge to all of you, whether you're a new maker or an old maker, come in here and just troll through here, find something that interests you, and then learn it. So I was doing that, right? I literally try to do it once, probably not once a week. I probably do it once a month. And I was thinking, there's a lot of stuff in here. And I mean, I love to make videos about things like patch or, form submit or all the ones that are very common. I was like, but what are some of the functions in here that I don't think get enough coverage? And so that's where the rest of this video is going to come from. So let's jump over here to my blank Power App. And the first one I want to talk about, I'm going to literally make this up on the fly, is I want to talk about sequence. So sequence is a function for returning a number or table, right? So easiest way to see it because it returns it returns a table of data with a number of rows that you tell it, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say input a drop down, and then up here in the items, it just wants a table, doesn't care how you get there. So if I type in sequence, and then I say 10, just like that, it is going to spit out 1 to 10. Yay! All right, that's kind of cool. What if I wanted to start at 0 instead of 1 or 10? So remember with your functions, sequence, records, comma, ... That means there's optional parameters. So we can do the optional parameters. There's a start. So if I do 0, and the next set of ones are optional again, so we're not going to need them. So we're just going to close it. Now this same drop down starts at 0 and goes through 9, right? Because 10 numbers, right? There's 9 plus a 0, that's 10. Fun. What if I wanted to increment a fancy way? Like what if we were going to try to do some time, right? Let's make some time drop downs here. So and let's say instead of doing every minute in the hour, we want to do quarter hours. So maybe what I'm going to do here, the third optional parameter is step. So we set that to 15, and then let's set this instead of 10, let's change this to 4. What do we get? We get 0, 15, 30, 45. That's pretty close, right? What are we missing though? Really for the hour or the minute portion, this should be 0, 0, right? So with sequence, you can't control what the format of the number it spits out is. Well, boo sequence. No, we just need to re-examine it a little bit. And so how are we going to do that? What we're going to do is we're going to jump over here and we're going to use our AddColumns function. And we're going to say, all right, I want to AddColumns wants a table. The sequence put out a table. Remember, and if we hovered here, it would have told us sequence was putting out a single column table with value. So we're going to say add a column. We're going to call it my minutes. And notice I never try to use reserved words. Like if I use minute, I get confused as to was it the system's minute or my column minute. So I throw my in front of there, make my life easier. And then finally, what should that look like? Well, it's just going to be the text function value. Right, and value in this case is the value, so 0, 15, 30, or 45. And then we're going to say do it in the format of 0, 0. And bingo, bango, we've got 0, 0, 15, 30, and 45. Right? And if you're like, Shane, how did you know the text did that? Well, what would I tell you? I'd say go to the PowerApps formula reference, go find the text function. Where's it at? Text. And then if you read the description, the details, in here it's like number placeholders. Oh, a 0 displays insignificant zeros if a number has fewer digits than the zeros that are in the format. So that's how we got it to show the 0. It's also how you get it to show trailing zeros. It's very Excel-like. But once again, if you don't know any of these pieces, formula reference, it's your friend. Cool? You know, so now we've got this. Let's just do the hour part real quick, right? Well, I'd probably throw a label right here. We'll kind of do this, squish this up. What do we want this to be? We just want this to be a colon. And then squish again. Make these the same size, copy, paste. And so for this one, what do we want? Well, we want 24, right? There's 24 hours in a day. We want to start at 0, but we just want to go in 1 increment, so we don't even need this portion. And instead of calling that my minutes, we'll call that my hours. And so then now, look, we have UTC or military time as we call it, right? So this would be 9:30 a.m. And so then if you said, hey, give me a label, right? And so what is this called? That's drop down 3. We'll just change its name to DD minute or min. We'll change this one to DD hour. And now we could just go over here and say, give me a time value. So time value wants a text, so that would be DD hour dot selected. What's the field name? Dot my hours. And then we do that, and then we'd ampersand. We do this, and then ampersand, and then DD minute dot selected dot my minutes. And now if we check on the boxes, let's try them. Let's set it to 9:30 a.m. Very cool, right? And if we want to do 9:30 p.m., that's 21:30. Bingo, bango, right? So kind of cool, right? That was just one of our functions. Man, this video is going to be too long, isn't it? Probably. But there you go. So that's how I use my dear friend sequence to do some fun things. And I'll point up there, there's a whole video on sequence, but that's the gist of it. And thanks to PowerApps formula reference, we're not intimidated by his other formulas. So the next function we're going to do here, let's do my friend Char. Or Char, I don't know. I don't even know how to say this one. When I was like Charmander from, what was that, Pokemon? I think Pokemon. So what if I said I want to have a label? I was like, all right, I want to do name, and then I'm going to, over here, I've already added the Office 365 users connector. So we're going to say name, and then my profile, V2, like this, and then, what is this? This is my display name. And if I want to put this next one on another line, how would I do that? I would then probably do this. I'd do and this, and then hit the enter, and then pull this down here, and then it'd be like email. And then what is email going to be? Well, I'm just going to copy this so I don't have to type it in anymore, kind of lazy. And we'll do .mail for this one. And then we do another ampersand. And then we would say department. And then we'd paste one last time and then do .department. But we'd realize I forgot the ampersand. Right there, right here. There we go. Department would be DEP. And so that would spit out a label on 3 lines, right? That works. It feels awkward. I've never liked this method because things don't line up nicely. So what I prefer to do is that there is a function called char, right? Or car or whatever. That thing, C-H-A-R. And so if I do car 13, that is the ASCII code for a line break. So if I copy this and then I just put this right here, and then now I'll just remove this one, put them on the same line, and so we get the same result, but I don't have that weird formatting. So the char function, it allows you to use ASCII characters in PowerApps. And if you go over here to like a site like ASCIItables.com, you can see that I just used ASCII 13. That was a carriage return. So if I wanted to include something like a, probably not as weird things, but like if we go down here, and I wanted to include like the tilde, right? So that's ASCII 126. So if we go into here and it's be like, and char 126, bingo, bango, in just a moment, we should see the tilde there, right? And so not only do you have, that, this is where you can have the different euro symbols or the characters, all these different, right? The dagger, I don't even know what any of these are. But all of these different symbols, this is one of the ways to get them in PowerApps. Now, I will remind you that you don't have to get them this way. Let's get this, whatever this is. I'm sure it has a name. I don't know it. I apologize. You can also just copy it, right? So I hit Control-C with it highlighted, and I could paste it in there. Oh, but that's not how you do that. I would say ampersand and then paste it inside there. And so that would work the same way, so that shows up, right? The same way that I could just go in here and say Windows key dots and then use one of my little emojis for the dog face, and then that would go in. So PowerApps is pretty flexible at how you get those, but that car or char 13 is probably the one that I use the most. Okay, so let's clean off some of this extra stuff. Now, if I look at this, this is another one of my pet peeves, right? I did this Office 365 users my profile v2 call 3 times, right? Once to get the display name, once to get the mail, once to get department. That is redundant. That was extra typing for me. Depending on PowerApps mood, it might cause extra calls from PowerApps. So another uncommonly used function is the with. With is a function where you can say, hey, I do this number, and then we're going to call this, let's just call it prof for profile, right? Profile. And then I'm going to put this section here, right? That's the whole user's record. We then close the curly bracket and do that and that, and nothing different happens, right? That's the beauty of this. But what this has done is it said, hey, I'm going to create this, think of this almost like a temporary variable, like an ultra temporary variable. But I have now this prof that is available only within the context of this with function, but it has stored that user. So now everywhere that we have done that, I could copy and I could put this here and I could put this here and put this here. And so not only has it made my code less, right? There's less things that I had to type, less physical cookies on the clipboard, keyboard, not clipboard. But on top of that, it's made the call once. So when this loads, this with goes and gets prof and puts it, or goes and gets this, right, in my profile v2, that whole record, puts it into the variable prof, and then it is only available here. Now this is different though than a variable, right? Because if I go to label, like this is a separate label, if I type in prof, it has no idea what I'm talking about, right? This is only available within the instance. So between this and this is the only place that is available. But this is a great way to keep yourselves out of trouble, right? This is a good one for making it faster, easier, making your code more elegant. And what I'm really trying to do in a lot of cases is avoid redundant lookups. I see redundant calls all the time, especially if you got large text blocks, large HTML blocks. And so I'm trying to avoid the redundancy by doing it once and then making it available, right? And so with is another one of those ones I have a whole video on. So up there somewhere I will point to the with video, but that's important to me. Okay. So the next one I want to point out here is we're going to do IsMatch. So IsMatch, this is one that I cannot do enough justice. We can make an hour-long video and I still wouldn't cover everything in IsMatch. But if you go check out the good old PowerApps formula reference, in here you will find IsMatch. You'll also find out there's other things. There's IsMatch and there's match and there's match all, right? What's the difference? I'm gonna let you figure that out. And so it's got different ways of matching patterns, right? So you can do everything from a simple pre-built pattern, like we're going to match on email here in a second. So it just has a built-in pattern for that. So you can write your own complex regex, if you know what that is and understand it. I've been in IT for 20 years. I can't write regex. Shh, doesn't matter. But IsMatch is a way to check to see if something matches. So for example, I could say, hey, I want to have a text input over here. And I want to check to see, does it match the email pattern? So let's go up here and let's just put in an email real quick. So Shane@PowerApps911.com. That is obviously my email address. Send me emails. I ignore them with the best. It's okay. I try to answer most, not all, most. What we're going to do is we're going to go here in this other label. We'll say, hey, IsMatch. What do we want to check to see it matches? So we're going to need to know what that input is, text input 2. So we'd say text input 2.text. And then what format are you looking for? I want to see if it matches the email format. We do that, it is true. Now what's important to understand is IsMatch is not saying, is that a real email address? It is saying, does it match the pattern of characters, @ characters, dot, and then 2 characters? Right, so like if we drop off the .com, because we forgot it, IsMatch is false. If we do .com again, it is true. So IsMatch is a great way to do data validation, right? And this is a very simple one. It's using one of the pre-built patterns, but if you wanted to match a phone number pattern or a social security number pattern, or even maybe you want to match that it starts with, invoice, right? Like, so maybe you want to make sure that this thing matches INV and then 4 digits. So we could come over here and we'd say IsMatch. How do we match on a digit? It is a /D. So I think what we're going to do, I don't know, I might screw this up. So if I screw it up, don't hate me. We're going to go in here and we're going to say IsMatch, and we're going to say INV /D/D/D/D/D. Yes, I realize my cursor's in the way. We'll move it. There we go. And so that obviously is a failure. But what if we now type in INV 1212? It does not match. So Shane got the pattern wrong. How rude of me. Oh, you know what I wonder? If we hit play, is it because I didn't make it INV? It is. Oh, I'm like, I know that's right, but because it is set to match on case as well, right? INV did not match lowercase INV. We could do a comma here. And so then you can see that there is extents. So begins with, compete, contains, ends with, ignore case. Oh, that probably would have fixed my problem, right? So now if we put it back to lowercase INV, it still works. So there you go. Even I forget how to use it. But the good news is that between the built-in help here and the PowerApps formula reference, you get a good go. All right, that is 3. Next on my list here is my dear friend. That was 4, wasn't it? That was 4. We're almost done. Last one. And that is Coalesce. So Coalesce, this is a great function for returning. It returns the first non-blank value. So for example, over here, let's say that instead of showing department, I wanted to show about me. So we go here, we say about me. And now we're going to see once it renders here that I don't have an about me, right? So it's blank. But sometimes you want to check for something like that. And if they don't have it, you want to say something like NA or not available or something, right? So what you can do is you can go here and you can say Coalesce, and then prof about me, and then unknown. I don't know. It doesn't really matter what I type in here. And so boom, just like that, what it should say for me when it finishes is unknown. But if I had about me, like if we change this back to department, which we know I do have, then it's going to return the department instead of unknown services, right? So it returns the first non-blank value. Now, they have to be the same, so both of these are text, so it would work fine. It would be really confused if you tried to tell it one was a text and one was a number, so don't don't overthink those type of scenarios, but that will get you. And you can also, with Coalesce, you can have more. So if you need to do 2 or 3 checks, you just start adding commas. Neat fun fact, Coalesce is like one of the very, very few functions that works the same in PowerApps and Power Automate, right? The future of PowerFX, when one day we'll have one language between the two. But there you go, Coalesce, another one that just solves some of those itches where you guys are probably writing if statements today. You could probably do it with a Coalesce, get the same result, less code to write, makes you happier. So there you go. What do you think of my 5 functions that aren't commonly used? And more importantly, are you convinced that the PowerApps formula reference is where you should go on a regular basis? I hope so. I just can't. It's like literally one of the first things I teach in my live training classes is, go here, learn here, plant a bunch of seeds so you know. So thoughts, ideas, comments, leave them below. I'm always checking. I'm always curious what you guys have to say. What other functions would you like to see me find a way to sneak into a video, right? Like this was the only way I could think of sneaking Coalesce into a video. So we did it. But yeah, with that, I'm going to say thanks and have a great day. Hey, me again. Before you go, click on the subscribe button, right? Join the list of 100,000 plus people that have subscribed already. Or if you need any help, right? Check us out at PowerApps 901. We do big projects, little projects. We do training. We do everything, and we can help you. Or if you want to see more videos, you probably do, then just click on the playlist above. Cool? Thanks, and have a great day.